boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. I'm sure most of you have heard by now. Floyd Schofield versus JoJo Diaz to support Virgil Ortiz versus Erickson Lubricant. Floyd Schofield is to fight Joseph Diaz on the undercard of Virgil Ortiz versus Erickson Lubin on November 8th. Ortiz Jr. and Lubin contest the former's WBC Junior middleweight title at the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. And by the time they do so, Schofield and Diaz will have fought at lightweight, where they are scheduled to share 10 rounds. It was in June when Schofield 23 stopped Fevin Turner inside a round. More recently, in August, Diaz lost at junior welter to Regis Prograis, though not before giving Regis all he could handle and a couple of scares.
And on that premise, I guess that was enough for Golden Boy to bring him back for another fight, use him on another show against Floyd.
The fight with JoJo Diaz has been brewing for many years, and I'm excited to get into the ring and repeat what I did when I faced Tevin Farmer, Schofield said. I am ready, and I am putting in the work to show the world that I am ready to be world champion. I want to thank Golden Boy, Davies Entertainment, and DAZN for the opportunity to come back on a card in my home state. Every challenge is an opportunity, and stepping into the ring against Kid Austin is no different, said Diaz, 32. I'm thankful to God for allowing me to do what I love.
What do I think about this fight?
Well, this isn't the fight that I was expecting Floyd to have next, as for a number of weeks now, his name was attached to a potential Raymond Muratalla fight, last I checked, for Raymond's IBF title, and that's not the only one. I remember a separate rumor that he was in negotiations to face MVP's Lucas Body. So, when you compare a JoJo Diaz fight to those fights, it would seem that Floyd is taking the path of least resistance. You're fighting JoJo Diaz, who's coming off a loss.
8 losses in total, and JoJo is 2-4 in his last 6, meaning he only won 2 out of his last 6 fights.
And lost 4. And you're bringing him down. You're bringing him down, back down to 135 when his last fight was up there at 140. So it's hard to get excited over a fight like this. I realize that stylistically, between Floyd's mean streak
and JoJo's work rate and his chin, aesthetically this might be a fun little fight to watch, but it's not a fight that's about anything or towards anything. It's another stay busy fight, if I'm being honest, like the Tevin Farmer fight.
I mean, what do you think that was? That was a stay busy fight? This is a stay busy fight. All this from the guys that love to criticize Shakur Stevenson as if they're doing something better. All this from the promoter that loves to criticize Eddie Hearn, Dana White.
As if they're doing something better. They ought to change their name from Golden Boy to Stay Busy Boy, since that's all their fighters seem to do is stay busy.
Stay busy fight after stay busy fight. This is a stay busy fight on the undercard of Ortiz versus Lubin, which in and of itself is a stay busy fight. Why is Ortiz fighting Lubin when he should have been pressing for a Sebastian Fundora fight?
I'm telling you, they ought to change their name from Golden Boy to Stay Busy Boy, since that's all their fighters seem to do is stay busy.
So what could have happened to Floyd Schofield's potential fight with Raymond Muratalla that now sees him fighting someone else? Well, I told you that Raymond very soon could be ordered to fight his mandatory challenger, Andy Cruz, and thus he may not be at liberty to defend the title against Floyd Schofield. That's what might have happened there. That if Raymond isn't fighting Floyd, it might be because he's not at liberty to do so as far as Lucas.
There was a separate rumor that Floyd might fight Lucas Body, and I don't know what happened there, because a Lucas Body fight would have actually been better than this fight with JoJo.
This fight with JoJo is not about much aside from staying busy, and if Floyd Schofield wins, I mean, okay.
Staying busy up until what happens?
Remember that Floyd Schofield is ranked at number 1 via the WBA. The WBA champion is Gervonta Davis, who many feel, after the Jake Paul fight, will either walk away from the sport of boxing or at minimum walk away from the lightweight division. So maybe the reason that Floyd is fighting in yet another stay busy fight is he's waiting for that email from the WBA that would crown him their new WBA lightweight champion. Maybe that's why he's staying busy. Maybe that's why he's not rolling the dice with somebody better. In any event,
a JoJo Diaz fight is an inconsequential fight. If Floyd wins, It proves nothing.
JoJo has already lost 8 times to 8 other fighters. Being the 9th doesn't mean very much, and so Floyd Schofield will be fighting in yet another successive, stay-busy fight in his next ring appearance. In men's middleweight news, unified middleweight champion Janibek took to his social media and stated, "Dear boxing fans, very soon you will hear the news you've all been waiting for. And it's going to be the long-anticipated showdown in the middleweight division." When he said this, I immediately thought of Carlos Adames, since him and Carlos have been going back and forth with each other for some time now.
Just the other day, Carlos Adames said, "I feel incredible looking at the 160 and 168-pound divisions and how confident I am that I can beat them all." To which Janibek responded, "I think he should quit boxing. He seems to have taken too many punches. Even if he retires, I hope he doesn't stop making those entertaining and funny posts. Laughter does make life longer, after all."
As stated, when Janibek indicating that he has big fight news incoming, I immediately thought of Carlos Adames, since him and Carlos have been going back and forth like this for what feels like 2 years now. But apparently, it's not Carlos that Janibek is hinting at. It's a fight with WBA champion Erislandy Lara. In yet another post, Janibek indicated WBA and WBC soon.
Not only that,
He also stated, "I believe the Ring Magazine belt will also be on the line in my next fight, and that title carries a lot of prestige right now," tagging both Turkey El Sheikh and Ring Magazine. So maybe this isn't the long-awaited, long-anticipated showdown between Janibek and Carlos, but it's still the most exciting fight to happen in the middleweight division in a long time. The only unification match we'll have seen in a while. The last one was Janibek's fight with then-champion Vincenzo Gualtieri.
that's who he got the IBF from.
But Vincenzo was hardly the caliber of fighter or champion that Erislandy Lara is. Erislandy Lara, to his credit, has been a champion at both 154 and 160. A much more seasoned champion than that champion was.
Where does this leave Carlos Adames?
Out of the big fights and the big paydays is where it leaves him. I've reason to believe that Carlos Adames means to move up to 168 and vacate his WBC title, it being that Kazakhstan's own Mayrim Nursultanov is ranked at number 1. We know that there was some effort to make the fight between Carlos and Janibek, but I guess that didn't work out. So you figure that if Carlos isn't fighting Janibek and unifying, he may have to fight Mayrim Nursultanov.
Well, the Kazakhstan fighter like Janibek is a Kazakhstan fighter, and Carlos a guy who is more trouble than he's worth. Behind the scenes, I think Carlos is about to leave the middleweight division, having not unified with anybody, to move up to 168.
Think he's going to drop the WBC back over to Janibek, who sports an unblemished record of 17 wins with no losses and no draws, 12 knockouts, en route to an Erislandy Lara fight.
Lara!
Erislandy Lara, who sports professional record of 31 wins with 3 losses and 3 draws, 19 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 37 professional bouts, a 2-weight world champion. He held the WBA at 154, and currently he holds the WBA at 160. Last in action in September of last year when he stopped Danny Garcia.
Remember, he made him take a knee, retire on his stool?
In that way, it's already been a year since the aging Erislandy Lara last saw action. He saw action 2 times last year, once in March, then again in September. Before that, he was averaging approximately 1 fight a year for about 4 years. He only fought once in 2020, only once in 2021, once in 2022, didn't fight at all in 2023.
Comes back last year, fights 2 times, and now apparently he is en route to a Janibek Alimkhanulai fight, at least according to Janibek Alimkhanulai. So why would Erislandy Lara accept the fight that Carlos did not?
Erislandy Lara is getting on in age, you know. This is a guy who's been around a very long time, and he has yet to parlay that WBA title into a serious payday. There is a legitimate argument that Lara has only made but so much money as a junior middle and a middle. So for him, this is the golden opportunity he needs. As an aging fighter, an aging champion, he only has but so many options.
And moving up to 168 is not one among them. So where for Carlos, moving up in weight might seem some refuge to Lara, it's the end of the road.
He's cashing out. That's how it looks. Erislandy Lara, for many, many years, was best described as a rather mobile, pure boxer.
A mover, a jabber, an outside fighter. But in more recent years, as he's been getting on in age, he's a lot less mobile than he used to be. He doesn't move around as much, and he's sitting on his punches more.
Which in turn might make him easier for Janibek Alimkhanulai to find, to get to. Janibek Alimkhanulai, the bigger, younger fighter, fresher.
Janibek can punch, but so can Lara. That's one of Lara's finer qualities. Most pure boxers, they can't hit worth a damn. But Lara was always one of the ones who could crack a bit. At 154, at 160, I think he can still punch, just not as hard or not as often as Janibek Alimkhanulai.
Janibek is the busier fighter and the fresher fighter, so I'm leaning towards him to win this unification match. Lara's never been stopped. He's never been knocked out, but at his age, there's a first time for everything. And I think if they do fight, Janibek is going to take him out. Janibek is going to stop him. There's been no indication, no word as to when and where this fight is going to be going down, only that Turkey El Al Sheikh is the financier. That's why Janibek tagged him in that post.
Also indicating that the Ring Magazine title will be on the line. It's been a while since there was a Ring Magazine middleweight champion. That would, in effect, make the winner of this fight the man to beat at 160 pounds.
Bottom line, I like Janibek Alimkhanulai to win. I do not think that Lara's 42-year-old legs can get him out of trouble and keep him out of trouble in this fight. I think that Janibek is going to close the distance, mow him down, and overpower him. I like Janibek to win by way of knockout whenever this fight happens. Over to Brian Bomac McIntyre, who had a few respectful words for Canelo Alvarez, saying, rest up, get back in the gym, assess where you're at, but look, the man has nothing to prove. Just get what you can get out of the sport. Your legacy is already cemented. There are a lot of people taking shots at Canelo Alvarez for losing that Terence Crawford fight. Bomac McIntyre is not one among them.
He's telling Canelo, get back on the saddle. Do what you want to do. You ain't got nothing to prove anymore anyway.
It is true that Canelo Alvarez's legacy is cemented. Everything he's accomplished in boxing so far is not automatically undone because he loses a fight to Terence Crawford, as both he and Terence are legacy fighters with robust legacies.
Talk of a rematch?
Eddie Hearn recently stated that I'm not sure that Canelo wants a rematch with Crawford. I think there's no rematch clause, and it's very unusual for Canelo to enter a fight without a clause like that. I just don't see Canelo saying, yes, I want to do that again. I agree with Eddie. That fight wasn't close. I mean, for me, it was either 10-2 or 9-3 the max. The most I could give Canelo, and I'm a Canelo Alvarez fan, I picked him to win. But the most I could give him watching the fight was 3. Maybe 3 rounds.
Rematches are often won by the fighter who can change, the fighter who can adjust, the fighter who can take what they learned and what they experienced in the first fight to do even better in the second. And I feel that that really is more Terence Crawford than Canelo Alvarez. I'm sorry to say that Canelo was never really in that fight. He could never really get anything going, and he more or less admitted that himself after the fight.
We already know. We knew Crawford is a great fighter, and I did what I supposed to do, right? I tried for every way, and I trained really hard, and he deserved all the credit. No, I try my best tonight, and I just cannot figure out the style.
Was it something specific, the movement or his speed or power, or what? Was there something you could put your finger on that gave you the most trouble?
Everything.
Okay.
He have everything.
Has it sunk in yet that for the first time in forever, you're not a world champion?
No, I feel a champion, no matter what. You know, I win no matter what, and I still feel a champion. So it is what it is. You need to take the loss and accept everything. But I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue to do it.
Gracious in defeat, not making excuses and letting it be known that he's not done. He does mean to continue. Some are offering advice. What should Canelo Alvarez do now? He's not a champion anymore. For the first time in a long time.
Doesn't have a belt.
Starting to see a surge of individuals that feel maybe there needs to be a change in Canelo Alvarez's corner, a new face and a fresh perspective. That's more or less what Carlos Zarate was saying when he talked about Canelo.
Veteran trainer Robert Garcia said something similar.
From here, obviously, there may be big fights still out there in the future. Who would you like to see him come back against?
Canelo's an athlete. Canelo's a great athlete, a very dedicated person. He's focused. He trains hard, but he needs that hunger. He needs that. I think I wouldn't mind. You know, it wouldn't hurt. And I know that they're probably never going to do it because they've been together so. But add somebody to their camp. Add somebody, a new voice.
Would
somebody
you invite Canelo down to
somebody
Argentina?
that's going to. No, well, no. Canelo's not gonna. You know, nobody's gonna invite Canelo over. Canelo's gonna bring them over to him. You know what I mean? And maybe that's. You know, he's so powerful and so rich that's probably what would be the best thing for him to do is go out of your comfort zone, go somewhere where you're not going to be the main guy, where there's other superstars. You know what I mean? Maybe that, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to
like a little bit of a Rocky 3 moment for him, where
kind of like that.
He kind of go train.
He needs to make a change.
It's hard to imagine Canelo Alvarez going into a camp or going into a fight with anyone in his corner but Eddie Reynoso, who's been with him for so many years now. It's almost a lifelong partnership. That any changes to the corner would be a dramatic move.
A big change.
Reflecting on these suggestions, just because Canelo lost to Terence Crawford, I don't feel that that's the cue to sack Eddie Reynoso, because look at all the success that they've had together. That 2 or 3 losses does not undo everything they've accomplished. Moreover, not everyone is going to be able to go in there and do what Terence Crawford did.
There are still winnable fights and big fights out there for Canelo Alvarez that would not require him to give his corner a complete overhaul. Consider the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn fight, the rematch that's about to happen. If Chris wins and he fights Canelo Alvarez after that, you're telling me Canelo can't beat that guy? You're telling me Canelo can't beat Hamza Shiraz? It's like I told you, not everybody is going to be able to do to Canelo what Terence did to Canelo.
Without making any changes, any subtractions, or any additions to his corner, there is still a lot of fights out there that I would pick Canelo to win. Terence upsetting the apple cart is not the cue to make any major changes, because if you've had this much success with Eddie,
It's a winning team.
but you win some and you lose some, and for some, you can't win them all. It's okay.
Still had a lot of success together.